Hi friends. Please subscribe and help me reach my first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. I hope you enjoy this story. Let us go. Hell, that sounds like total horseshit, Liam said, slamming his glass of rye whiskey onto the polished mahogany bar. He shook his head, the ice clinking sharply against the glass. Come on man, Noah laughed. He was their connector friend, the guy they grabbed drinks with in Soho on occasional Friday nights to feel plugged into the city's pulse. You and Chloe are in your prime. Dinks, right? Double income, no kids. What do you have to lose? It's just a damn vacation. Are you saying you actually went there? Well. Noah rolled his eyes theatrically. Hypothetically. Hypothetically. Okay, fine. I went. And I'll tell you this, it's not a place for people who are not ready to expand their horizons. Liam smirked and took another sip. He knew Noah loved to spin tall tales. Or maybe not spin them, but definitely embellish the hell out of them. In their social circle, Noah was that guy who always had the exclusive lead on speakeasies that required a fingerprint scan, or parties where real magic happens. Honestly, Liam had stopped caring about those stories years ago. So what's the deal with it? Chloe asked suddenly. She was sitting next to Liam, swirling her glass of Sancerre. Up until now, she'd only been listening to Noah's spiel with a lazy, detached smile. Liam felt a subtle spike of tension. There was no sarcasm in her voice. No doubt. Just pure, unadulterated interest. Well, Noah grinned, leaning in over the bar top. Let us just say it's an adults-only resort. High security. Gated. No cameras, no cell phones, no conventional rules. 5-star private villas, pristine beaches, infinity pools. You can do whatever you want, with whoever you want, and nobody is going to judge you. Chloe ran a manicured finger along the rim of her wine glass. So, it's like Something like that, Noah nodded. Liam frowned, his brow furrowing. Wait a minute. Are you telling us this is some kind of swinger colony? Noah burst out laughing. Whoa, let us not slap cheap labels on it. It's a sanctuary where people relax without boundaries. Some people just tan, drink craft cocktails, chill out. Others entertain themselves. Liam grimaced, but Chloe continued to study Noah with an intensity that made Liam uncomfortable. And where is this place? She asked. A private island in the Caribbean. Private helipad, full-service spa, a restaurant run by a Michelin star chef from France. You guys would love it. Liam felt irritation bubbling up in his chest. Us? You seriously think we're going to fly to some damn sex island? Why not? Chloe said, her voice casual. Liam snapped his head toward her. She kept slowly rotating her glass, not even looking at him. Are you kidding me? No. Why not just take a look? She finally lifted her gaze to meet his. It's just a location, Liam. It does not mean we have to sign up for the program. Noah smiled, looking entirely too pleased with himself. Listen to her, Liam. She surprises me. Usually, the wives are the ones screaming no way before I even finish the pitch. Well, maybe I am not like the other wives in Connecticut, she shrugged, referencing the suburban life they had narrowly avoided moving into last year. Liam frowned deeper. He really did not like where this conversation was heading. Okay, pump the brakes. You seriously want to consider this trip? Chloe leaned in closer, her hand grazing his arm. Liam. We're not saying we're going to do anything, right? It's just a vacation. Exotic. High-end. A luxury resort. You want to go to a place where people are? People do what they want. And we'll just be relaxing. Liam paused, thinking. His wife never talked about stuff like this. They were a standard Manhattan couple with a standard relationship, maybe a little stagnant, sure. But lately, he knew she'd been complaining about the boredom, the routine, the feeling that they were missing, a spark. But this? This was weird. I am not sure I like the sound of it, he said finally. Chloe smiled, pulling her iPhone out of her clutch. Just look at the website. She slid the phone over to him. The screen displayed glossy, high-definition photos. Blindingly white sand, turquoise water, sleek modern villas with private jacuzzis. It looked impeccable. Like an ad for the Ritz-Carlton on steroids. "See," she said. "It's just a beautiful getaway." Liam looked at her. She looked inspired. Too inspired. He did not know what unsettled him more, the island itself, or the fact that Chloe had lit up so quickly at the idea. Liam took the phone, scrolling through the photos again. Yeah, it looked like a five-figure vacation, but something about the branding made his skin crawl. Maybe it was the concept? Or just how easily Chloe had said yes. He wanted to debate it further, but her eyes were gleaming with anticipation, and her body language screamed, the decision is already made. That night, in their loft, he tossed and turned for hours, listening to his wife's steady breathing. What if he was overthinking it? What if it really was just sun, sand, and margaritas? But a gnawing feeling in his gut would not let him go. 1 week later, they were strapped into a private charter helicopter, banking over an endless expanse of blue water. As the chopper began its descent, Liam felt a wave of nausea that had nothing to do with the turbulence. It looked too perfect. Sugar-white sand, teal water, sprawling palms. It was an Instagram filter brought to life. Chloe sat next to him, peering out the window with rapt attention. She looked alive, animated, like a kid seeing the ocean for the first time. "God, look at that," she murmured. Liam nodded silently. The doubts that had nested in his mind since the moment she proposed this trip had not vanished. If anything, they were multiplying. When the helicopter touched down softly on a hardwood landing pad, they were already being expected. A tall, fit man in a breezy linen shirt stood at the edge of the helipad. Tanned, groomed, with a smile that looked like it cost 10 grand. "Welcome," he said with a faint, indeterminate European accent, extending a hand first to Chloe, then to Liam. "My name is Raphael. I will be your personal concierge during your stay." His handshake was firm, confident. "Thank you," Chloe replied, her gaze lingering on him a beat longer than necessary. Liam caught it. Raphael gestured for them to follow. "Your luggage has already been delivered to your villa. I am certain you will love it here. The island is designed for absolute comfort.
No anxieties, no obligations.
Only pleasure." He said the last word with a weight that sent a cold shiver down Liam's spine. They walked across a teak bridge leading to the main resort area. Everything looked exquisite, expensive. Bungalows with thatched roofs, pools with crystal-clear water, cozy lounge zones filled with plush restoration hardware-style furniture. But it was the people that grabbed Liam's attention. Men and women strolling the grounds looked relaxed. Too relaxed. Many were half-naked, women in sheer parios that left little to the imagination, men in nothing but board shorts. These people did not just walk, they watched each other. They smiled, they touched. It felt like they were all part of some invisible game. Chloe, seemingly, noticed nothing strange. She was looking around with enthusiasm, inhaling the warm, salty air. "This is amazing," she said as they stepped into their spacious villa. It was designed with impeccable taste. Vaulted ceilings, a massive king-sized bed, a terrace overlooking the ocean. And the centerpiece, an infinity pool, secluded and hidden from prying eyes. Raphael chuckled softly. "Here, you can do whatever your soul desires." Liam felt that vague alarm bell ringing in his head again at the tone of his voice. "We have organized dinner for you at the main restaurant. It is a good opportunity to meet the other guests. The island is a place where people quickly find common interests." He tilted his head slightly, looking at Chloe. Liam clenched his jaw. "Appreciate it," he said, trying to keep his voice flat. Raphael nodded and left, leaving them alone in the silence of the luxury suite. Chloe sat on the edge of the bed and gave a satisfied smile. "Admit it, this is better than you expected." Liam walked slowly around the room, checking the minibar stocked with top-shelf liquor. "It all looks a little too curated. And what's wrong with that?" He looked at her. "You comfortable here?" Chloe shrugged. "Yeah, of course. Why not? You see it yourself, Liam, it's just a resort." Liam did not answer. Later at dinner, the doubts only intensified. The restaurant was a sprawling open-air pavilion nestled under a massive sail-like canopy. The humid air was thick with the scent of grilled lobster, garlic butter, and fresh lime. Guests were seated at long communal teak tables, a setup designed to force interaction, laughing, drinking, and trading meaningful glances over the candlelight. But it was those glances that put Liam on edge. Some of the couples were being aggressively open. One woman, sipping a martini, slowly ran her hand down her partner's chest and lower, all while maintaining unblinking eye contact with Chloe. Another couple at a nearby table was sitting so close it looked like they were seconds away from putting on a show right there next to the breadbasket. Chloe did not look shocked. If anything, she looked like she was soaking it in. "See," she said when they walked back to their villa, the gravel crunching under her sandals. "It's just a beautiful resort." Liam did not answer. He knew the daylight was just a facade. Tomorrow, or maybe tonight, would reveal what this island was actually selling. Night draped over the island like a heavy velvet blanket. The air smelled of blooming jasmine mixed with the sharp medicinal tang of high-end liquor. Somewhere in the distance, the ocean crashed against the shore, but here by the infinity pool, the only sound was a deep thumping bass line, a down-tempo house track that sounded like a lazy heartbeat. Liam stood at the bar, nursing his drink, watching Chloe hold court with two men near the water's edge. She laughed, tilting her head to the side, letting her long hair cascade over her bare shoulder. Her movements were light, fluid. Too fluid. "Can I get you another one, boss?" the bartender asked, raising an eyebrow as he polished a crystal tumbler. Liam swirled the dregs of his whiskey. "Same thing." "Neat." The ice clinked as a fresh pour of amber liquid hit the glass. He shifted his gaze back to Chloe. One of the guys she was talking to was built like a CrossFit instructor, stocky with a buzz cut. The other one was taller, deeply tanned, with a clipped British accent. That was Jake. Liam had already picked up snippets of gossip about him from the other guests. Jake was a regular. A platinum status member of this particular club. If the rumors were true, he was the guy who knew exactly how the game was played here. Right now, Jake was saying something to Chloe, looking directly into her eyes with a predatory focus. She listened consistently, then lightly touched his forearm, throwing her head back in a laugh. Liam ground his teeth and took a heavy swallow of whiskey. "Relax, man." A warm hand landed on his shoulder. Liam spun around. It was Raphael, wearing that same signature, knowing smirk. "Everyone here is just enjoying the moment," the concierge continued, offering a conspiratorial wink. "I see you already know the script before I even ask the question." Raphael tilted his head slightly. "It's not hard. I've seen the movie many times." "Seen what?" "Men finding themselves in situations they are not historically comfortable with." Liam stayed silent. Raphael signaled the bartender for a drink of his own, then turned back to face the pool. "The question is not what is happening around you, Liam. The question is how you feel about it." Liam tried to look unaffected, squaring his shoulders. "I'm just people watching." Raphael chuckled softly. "Exactly." Liam looked back toward the pool. Jake handed Chloe a fresh glass of champagne. She took it, took a delicate sip, and smiled. Then she leaned in and whispered something in his ear. Liam felt a cold knot tighten in his chest. "She is a very beautiful woman," Raphael said, following his gaze. "And it seems she feels quite free here." Liam did not reply. Everything about this felt wrong. But the problem was the war raging inside him. One side was the familiar, rigid, possessive husband. The other was something darker. Something inexplicable that was spreading through his veins like the alcohol. Jealousy. And a twisted spike of arousal. He took another drink. The music shifted to something slower, more hypnotic. A couple walked along the edge of the pool, a man with full-sleeve tattoos gripping a woman by the waist. She was whispering to him, looking up with glazed, hungry eyes. Liam felt the atmosphere shift. The air became charged. Chloe turned to look at him. Their eyes locked across the pool deck. She smiled. It was easy breezy, as if nothing unusual was happening. As if this were just a Tuesday night at a rooftop bar in Manhattan. But Liam knew better. The island was starting to show its teeth. Liam felt the tension in his body redline. Everything was moving too fast. The pool party, the heavy stares, the thick atmosphere, the music, the liquor. He did not know what was pressing down on him harder, Raphaela's piercing gaze, seemingly writing the ending of the story in real time, or Jake, who was sticking to Chloe like a shadow. She looked different. Uninhibited. Confident. Like she had finally found her natural habitat. Liam wanted to grab her hand and drag her back to the villa, but Chloe was not going anywhere. "It's okay," she whispered in his ear a moment later, leaning in toward his glass. "You read too tight. You need to let go." And then maybe a minute later, or an hour, he had lost track of time, she said it. "Let us just try playing by their rules. No strings attached." Liam slowly turned his head to face her. "Are you serious?" She nodded, her fingers lacing through his. "It's just one night." For a second, his ears rang. Was it the wine? The bass? The ocean? He saw a fire in her eyes he had not seen in years. Was it desire? Or something else? "No," he exhaled. But she just leaned closer, her voice dropping to a husky murmur. "Then just, trust me." She was not asking for permission. She was not negotiating. She had already decided. And then, everything blurred. The music roared in his ears, turning into a thick, viscous rhythm that matched the pounding of blood in his temples. Everything moved in slow motion, yet bled together in a chaotic stream of images. Fingers grazed his wrist, light, barely there. Then laughter, muffled and stretched out, like audio in a dream sequence. He felt hot breath against his ear, but the words were unintelligible. A woman's voice? Or maybe more than one. Bare skin slid against his shoulder, warm, soft, like silk left out in the sun. Someone pressed closer, and wet lips left a burning trail on his collarbone. A wave of heat crashed over him. He took a gulp of something strong, but the taste did not register anymore. The edges of the world were dissolving. Hands, stranger's hands, moved over his chest, his back. Was he in the water? Yes, water lapped at his thighs. Fingers traced his spine, light and rhythmic, like the tide rolling in. Dark skin. Laughter. Hands, gentle but firm, intertwined with his. A spike of heat pierced his consciousness. Strange lips on his throat. Bodies close, too close. He could not tell who was next to him. Where was Chloe? Was she here? The music swelled, getting louder, but the context was slipping away. Another drink. Fingers tangled in his hair. Another kiss. Sand, warm, gritty, damp. Flashes. Strangers' faces. Strangers' skin. Too much wine. Too little thought. And then, black. When Liam opened his eyes, his skull felt like it was being split open with an axe. The light in the room was blinding, the air stale and heavy. He shifted, feeling a sticky grit on his skin. Sand. The taste of salt on his lips. Someone was breathing next to him. Chloe? He rolled over. She was lying on her stomach, naked, the sheet kicked down to her ankles. But something was off. She was not looking at him. Instead, her fingers were flying across the screen of her iPhone. The corners of her mouth were turned up in a faint smile. Liam swallowed hard, his throat dry as sandpaper. Chloe. She did not answer immediately. Yeah? She flicked her eyes up to him. There was no shame.
No embarrassment.
Just something else. Something he had not expected to see. He looked away. Chloe's movements were light, casual, as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened last night. He propped himself up on one elbow. What time is it? Chloe did not even lift her head. Almost noon. Her voice was calm. Not raspy from a sleepless night, not thick with regret. Just mundane. Business as usual. Liam rubbed a hand down his face. I do not remember. Chloe looked at him. What? What happened last night? She smiled, softly, almost affectionately. Nothing terrible. You just overdid it with the top-shelf stuff. Liam took a deep breath. What did overdid it mean? His memories were shredded.
Hot, tanglet neck, skin, lip, brick.
Wine, music, water. It had all merged into a dark whirlpool of sensation, but he could not pull a coherent picture out of the drain. Are you okay? He asked. Chloe shrugged. I'm great. She stood up, pulling a light sundress over her head. I'm heading down to the pool. You coming? He watched her tie her hair into a messy bun. No trace of awkwardness. No hint that she regretted a single second of whatever had gone down. He did not answer, just watched her walk out, leaving a faint trail of expensive perfume and sea salt in her wake. The door clicked shut softly, leaving the room in silence. She did not look like a woman who had just crossed a line for the first time. That thought lodged itself in his brain deeper than he wanted to admit. Liam rubbed a hand over his face, trying to assemble his thoughts into something coherent. The feeling that something was fundamentally wrong would not let go. He closed his eyes, but the darkness behind his eyelids was strobe-lit with fragmented images from the night before. Hot breath, strangerous hands, laughter. The damn memory gaps were black holes in the timeline. Taking a deep breath, he stood up and slowly pulled on a linen shirt. A cold shower had not helped, the steam just made the room feel smaller. He needed air. He needed movement to clear the fog in his head. He headed downstairs. The wooden steps creaked softly under his loafers as he descended toward the lounge area. The warm trade winds rustled the palm fronds, filling the air with the scent of coconut oil, fresh lime, and sea salt. Music drifted from somewhere nearby, down-tempo, lazy, perfectly synced to the island's slow-motion existence. But Liam felt like his internal metronome was ticking at a completely different speed. He was heading for the bar, his legs carrying him on autopilot toward the promise of caffeine or hair of the dog. He was not sure which yet. The evening air, it was noon, but the shade made it feel like twilight, was heavy. Something made him slow his pace. A voice. Familiar. Immediate recognition. Chloe. Her tone was soft, hushed, but threaded with a confidence he had not heard in years. Instinct took over, and Liam stepped sideways, concealing himself behind a decorative pillar wrapped in ivy. Chloe was standing at the high-top bar, leaning effortlessly on one elbow. Her legs were crossed at the ankles, and she held a tumbler of vodka soda, swirling the ice. Opposite her was Jake. He was leaning in close, invading her personal space in a way that screamed intimacy. Liam thought he misheard. He thought maybe the hangover was hallucinating audio tracks over reality. But then he heard it again. I told you it would work out, Chloe said. Her whisper was not fearful. It was satisfied. Calculated. Jake chuckled, shaking his head before taking a sip of his drink. You were right. But I honestly did not think your husband was that oblivious. Chloe smiled and bit the edge of her straw. Liam froze. Oblivious? What exactly had worked out? Why did he feel like the wind had just been knocked out of him? Why did her voice sound like she had been sure of this outcome from the very start? Chloe had not been experimenting. She had not been testing the waters. She was not looking for new sensations. She had a specific man she came here to be with. Liam stood in the shadow of the pillar like a lost tourist who just realized he missed the last train home in a foreign country. The world narrowed down to a pinhole. The sound of the waves sounded muted and distant, like someone had turned the volume knob down on reality. He tried to find a shadow of doubt in her face. Hesitation. Shame. Anything. Nothing. Her gaze was relaxed, playful even. She ran a finger around the rim of her glass, tilting her head to listen to Jake. This did not look like a vacation fling. It looked like a long-term relationship. A cold, white-hot anger ignited in his gut. It was not a flare-up, it was a steady burning pilot light. Liam knew he should walk away. Pretend he did not hear. Go back to the villa, pack his bags, and think straight. But his feet moved forward on their own accord. So what are we discussing, lovebirds? His voice came out steady, devoid of tremors, laced with a calm he did not feel. Chloe and Jake turned to him in unison. There was not a drop of surprise on her face. If anything, she looked at him like she had been checking her watch, waiting for this specific moment. Oh hey, Chloe took a small sip, smiling as if he'd just returned from a coffee run. Jake stayed silent, but the corner of his mouth twitched in a faint, arrogant smirk. Us, she answered without a second of hesitation. Something cracked in Liam's chest. Us? He felt the blood rushing to his temples, pounding against his skull. She looked him dead in the eye. No fear.
No excuses.
Yeah. Me and Jake. Liam exhaled sharply. He had expected anything, a lie, a spin, a laugh followed by "you misunderstood." But no. She stood there and did not even attempt to pretend there was not a subtext. His Chloe. The woman he'd been with for 8 years. The woman he'd built a life with in Manhattan. The woman who was currently discussing her relationship with another man, right in front of him. He shifted his gaze to Jake. The guy looked entirely too relaxed, leaning back against the bar like he owned the place. "Buddy," Jake finally said, tilting his head. "Maybe let us not do this here?" Liam laughed. A dry, humorless sound. "Oh, suddenly you uncomfortable?" Chloe frowned, putting her glass down on the teak surface with a sharp clack. "Liam. What?" He snapped his attention back to her. "Is this inconvenient for you too?" She sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Look, let us not make this a tragedy." "A tragedy," he repeated slowly. "Liam, you agreed to this yourself." He leaned in sharply, invading her space. "Agreed to what, exactly?" She looked at him with mild irritation, like he was dragging out an argument about where to order takeout. "To a night with no strings attached," she reminded him, crossing her arms over her chest. "Yeah," Liam nodded, feeling the volatility rising in his throat. "But not to this." Chloe continued to look at him calmly, almost analyzing his reaction with curiosity. Then she took a step closer. "Liam," her voice dropped, becoming soft, almost comforting. "Do you honestly think I suggested we fly all the way out here just for the hell of it?" The words hit him like a hollow-point bullet. She leaned in, her lips inches from his ear. "This was not an accident. I planned this a long time ago," she whispered. He closed his eyes. The damn island. The damn experiment. The damn night. She knew what she was doing. She knew from the very beginning. And now that the truth was out in the sunlight, he had to decide what the hell to do next. Liam lay on the bed, staring into the darkness. The island night was humid, but he was freezing from the inside out. Chloe was asleep next to him, her breathing rhythmic and peaceful. As if nothing had changed. As if he had not just overheard her debriefing her affair with Jake. As if he had not lost the woman he'd loved for 8 years somewhere between the infinity pool and the sunrise. He wanted to hate her, but all he felt was a vast, echoing hollowness. The question spun in his mind. What now? Pretend it did not happen? Swallow it, like some guys do in the city to keep the penthouse and the status? Leave everything here on the island and try to go back to normal? No. He was not that guy. Liam got up, moving silently across the cool tile floor, and walked out onto the terrace. The ocean shimmered under the moonlight, the waves crashing with a consistent, mocking serenity. The decision crystallized instantly. He was out. Morning on the island was lazy, slow to start. Liam walked down the wooden steps to the beach bar, where Raphael was already nursing an espresso behind the counter. "Good morning," the concierge smiled, but there was a knowing glint in his eyes. Liam walked up to the bar. "I need a flight back. Just one." Raphael raised an eyebrow slightly, but he did not look surprised. You are not the first one who wants to bail on Paradise." "I'm not bailing," Liam answered evenly. Raphael smirked. "Of course." He signaled to a staff member with a subtle nod, and the guy headed toward the helipad without a word. "Chopper will be ready in an hour." Liam nodded and turned to leave, but Raphael's voice stopped him. "You know what the funny thing is?" Liam did not answer, but he paused. "Usually the ones who leave alone, they end up coming back." Liam looked back at him, not bothering to hide his disdain. "I'm not coming back." Raphael chuckled, taking a sip of his coffee. "We LLC." Chloe woke up to the soft sound of the surf. She stretched lazily, rolling onto her side, but the space next to her was cold. "Liam." She propped herself up, stifling a yawn, and reached for her phone on the nightstand. But instead of the cool glass screen, her fingers brushed against paper. Chloe frowned, picking up the note. "Stationery from the villa. Enjoy the island. Without me." She sat up abruptly, the remnants of sleep evaporating instantly. Her eyes darted to the corner of the room. Liam's Toomey suitcase. Gone. The closet door was ajar, empty hangers swaying slightly.
Liam.
She jumped up, rushing to the sliding glass doors, but she already knew. He was gone. Outside, the sun was blazing, the sea was calm, and far off in the distance, a small speck of a helicopter was disappearing into the horizon. Chloe looked down at the note in her hand. She read it again. And then again. But the meaning did not change. Liam had left. Without her. Liam sat at the kitchen island in their Tribeca loft, staring down at the documents spread out before him. The surface was pristine quartz, the papers were crisp and white, and the language was dry, surgical legalese. Petition for dissolution of marriage. 2 weeks. That was the timeline. 2 weeks ago, he could not have imagined his life would veer off the rails like this. 2 weeks ago, he was just a husband planning a high-end vacation with his wife. Now he was a man who had left her on a private island where, apparently, she had always wanted to be. He had not responded to a single one of her texts. The first one had come the morning after he left. Liam, are you serious right now? Then, a few hours later, we need to talk. You see, not just blow everything up like this. Then, radio silence. But he did not want to talk. He did not want explanations. He was not interested in dissecting her feelings for Jake. He did not care if it was love, lust, or just an itch she needed to scratch. He did not care if she had planned every detail from the start, or if she had just let the island drag out the darkness that was already living inside her. It did not matter. There was only one fact that held any weight. She knew what she was walking into. And that was something Liam could not forgive. Chloe did not come back to the city for another week. Liam heard the heavy thud of the front door unlocking. The sound of her footsteps, so familiar, the click of her heels on the hardwood, echoed down the hallway. He remained seated at the island, not moving a muscle. She walked into the kitchen. She looked different. Her tan was deeper, her hair was bleached lighter by the sun and slightly messy, and her eyes were alert, guarded. You do not even want to have a conversation? She asked, dropping her tote bag on the floor. Liam looked at her calmly. There's nothing to talk about. She pressed her lips together, her brow furrowing. Liam. He did not say a word. He just slid the manila folder across the cold stone countertop toward her. She did not look down immediately. But when her gaze finally dropped to the pages, her composure cracked for a split second. Divorce.
No emotion.
No screaming match. No drawn-out custody battle for assets. She looked back up at him. You really want it to end like this? Just like that? He nodded once. Yeah. She studied him for a long time, as if trying to read something in his face. Maybe she was looking for hope. Maybe doubt. But there was nothing there. Fine, she said quietly. She grabbed a pen from the counter, pulled out a bar stool, and signed the papers. No scene.
No excuses.
No cliches like it did not mean anything, or I did not want to lose you. Just a signature. The final period at the end of a sentence. When she finished, she stood up, pushed the documents back toward him, and looked at him one last time. I hope you do not regret this. Liam chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. The only thing I regret is that I did not realize who you really were a hell of a lot sooner. She did not answer. She just turned on her heel and walked out. The front door clicked shut behind her. He never heard from her again. And that's where today's story ends. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like and comment. We'd love to discuss this story with you. See you in the next video.